Bang, bang, bang. What's poppin', man? It's your boy K Trays, aka OK Bet. You feel me? We back. So, yeah, if you follow the game plan, what did I say? We gap down. What do we look for? Pop up, close the gap. We either get a gap fill continuation or what? A gap fill reversal. What do we get today? What do we get today? A gap fill reversal, right? So, even if you didn't catch the gap fill reversal, you got the perfect. Bro, every time I get on, I swear every time I get on here, my phone's about to die. Anyway, so you got the perfect gap fill reversal. Okay, we missed the gap by like 10 cents. But anyway, it was close enough, right? You trim into strength anyway. So you got the original, you got the gap fill reversal, and then you got the what? Fall down to support, where we talked about. The easiest play of the day was buying calls at that support. Instant 60%, literally as soon as I got on live. You can go back and check the recording. It's all recorded. It's all live. Everything I always do is always recorded and live. I put my money where my mouth is, so you go check for yourself. You ain't gotta trust my word for it. But if you was in the live, I know some of y'all caught it. Oh, and we gapping up right now. I'm actually in some call swings. But anyway, let's get straight into the game plan, or get out the game plan. What happened today? So obviously we got the original the game plan played out, right. So we got the gap down, recovered almost, got the full gap fill reversal closed. We kind of consolidated into a range today, which is cool because once we get consolidation, it leads to expansion, right? So whether that be expansion to the downside or the upside, we got to let that play out. But for a good 2 days, we've kind of just been tightly chopping in this range right here. Look, sorry, my thing's shaky. I'm still on vacation. It's my last day. I'll be back at home, with this full setup and everything tomorrow. So, but yeah, we've been consolidating, see inside this range for some days, right? Since Friday. So ever since we got that Friday pop, we kind of just been, breakdown, back into the. So that's why it was easy for us to take these calls, right? We fell out of the channel, right? Our algo, our selling algo, we fell out, hit support. We hit support, right? You ain't even got to do too much for real. We already knew this was support. We already knew. We went over this yesterday. We went over it the day before, right? We already established that this being support, and we did it in the live as well. So I ended up grabbing some calls, instant 60%. I think like within 2 minutes of me going live, literally, look at this. Went live, talked about the 709s. I got out here though, so I got out here at the middle, but they did end up going to 100%. So if you did hold, I know my boy, either Oliver or OB, one of y'all got 90% on those SPXs, but you know what I'm saying? And I told y'all, what did I say? I said, if there's no continuation, you better not be trading this. I said, you better not. Don't give away your money, right? So even today, I didn't make as much as obviously I wanted to because there was no continuation, right? So all I basically did was add 1DT calls, basically at every kind of like oversold kind of dip, right? So I'm with this gap up. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen overnight, but if it does hold and we do gap up over the previous day's close, where's our target? What do we always say? If we get a bear trap, the swing is to the previous high. So if we do, we could possibly, obviously, like I said, possibly get a new all-time high tomorrow. So like I said, we want to jump the gun. Let's get straight to the game plan, man. Let's get straight to it. So first things first, right? What did we go over yesterday? These trend lines, remember? So sorry, like I said, the thing's gonna be a little shaky. I'm using my phone as a camera on this little stand. But we had the trend line, right? The trend line broke. Scoot me over a little bit. All right. So look, trend line broke. We still remember Friday we broke above it, right? The only way we could have played shorts is if what happened? What did we go over in the game plan yesterday? Is if anything happened and we got below that trend line, retest it, continuation, right? Back down. Because we do have gaps below to fill. So that was definitely on the game plan, right? We always remember you gotta have both sides in your mind. Bull side, bear side. You gotta make money both ways, right? You don't want to get stuck on one side trying to make money only on longs and only on shorts, right? That's how a lot of people miss the pump, right? People missed out on thousands and thousands of dollars just because they refused to come up with a game plan for both sides, and they only had bear bias in their mind, like, oh, we gotta go down, we gotta go down, we gotta go down, right? So marketing gotta do jack squat for real. So yeah, so that was a pretty smooth play today. That was really about the only one, right? Either if you got the gap fill reversal or if you got the initial pop. Everything else, I mean, the end of day was cool. We caught a little 100% on SPX, but it wasn't anything significant because it was such small size. So nothing significant today for real as far as like overall gains. Decent, but nothing to write home about. So it's good though because we've had consolidation for 2 days. So with the expansion and possible, if we get the possible any kind of good news overnight with Iran and stuff, this could really gap up. Like I said, take out If we gap up to like 712 or gap up over all-time high, we're about to be so paid tomorrow. We're about to be so paid. But anyway, game plan, right? So obviously market just closed right now. We still got, anything can happen overnight, right? So let's go over both sides, bull and bear. So bull case, right? Let's say we gap up. What do we always do? We mark our previous day's close, right? Our previous day's close. So for us, it's going to be 708, 70, around that range. Anything gapping up, let's say we gap up kind of in this range, below 710, but above 708. First thing you watch for, any kind of pullback to do what? Close the gap. And if we close the gap, watch for maybe a double bottom, maybe a V bottom, but any kind of consolidation and push over that previous day's close, you could get a gap close reversal, right? And where do we want to go? We still didn't close the overnight gaps, or we didn't close technically to the penny. We didn't close the gap from Friday. So obviously those would be some targets. If we gap over that, it's gonna be a little tricky as far as which gap could close, right? So we could close that 710 gap and then go, or we could, like I said, come back and close that gap, but we're gonna have to wait and see. But this is why we come up with a game plan for either side, right? So, why couldn't they do this today? It's funny we call this, but I was like, look, if we don't break the algos today, they're gonna do it either overnight and you're gonna miss it, or just buy time. I kept saying buy time. So if you bought time, and this does hold, remember, anything can happen overnight. You don't want to get too excited. But if this does hold, we're going to be paid tomorrow, right? And even if not, we'll have a game plan either way, right? Let's say something happens. Boom. Oh, no, we don't get a deal. Bad news. Trump, blah, 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 whatever. We gap down, right? We gap down. Let's say we gap down right around here. Watch for that gap close and possible reversal back into continuation. This main trend line around 705 to 706 is our key for this week, right? Key for this week. Any consolidation below this 705, 706, we have gaps below the fill, right? We have targets at 702. We have this original breakout retest zone at 702.75 that never got tested. So that's going to be a main watch. Anything below 705, right? Below 705, you got to kind of, be prepared for a little bit more downside, right? But as long as we're above 705, 706 this week, and let's say we continue over today's high, we don't really have too many targets above 710, right? Besides all-time high. Maybe every dollar or so you can kind of set a target or a trim or something like that. We don't really know for sure. But so that's going to be your downside. Like I said, anything below 705, 706, be very, very, very careful, right? Very careful. Anything above that, like I said, wait for the breakout retest. Let's say we come down or we gap down, we break out, retest, continuation over the highs, right? You need that continuation first. Because if not, then you get something like this, right? You get something like this, which is basically what happened today. Bang, bang, roughly something like that, right? You already had your target high. Did we ever continue? No, we chopped the entire day, stole premiums, killed contracts. I looked on Twitter, people lost. You would think today was a crazy day. Like the amount of money people lost today is crazy. But like I said, when I went live today, I even said, hey, after that move, we don't need another trade. We don't. We literally, you get in, you get an instant 60 to 100% trade. Why would you give money back to the casino? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. If there's no continuation, at that point, you are truly gambling. You might as well put in a parlay. You know what I'm saying? You might as well take over on Ant Edwards. You know what I'm saying? Over on Luka Doncic, under on Jalen Brunson. You know what I'm saying? So you might as well take a little parlay. But that's not what we do. We don't gamble over here. So we pay attention to the price action, pay attention to the charts. So any consolidation over tomorrow, 708.75 really to 709. Or honestly, I guess you could just use really that previous day close. Like I said, that previous day close zone. Any consolidation over this, whether it be a V bottom, whether it be a double bottom, whether it not even go that low, right? Any consolidation over this, remember, you gotta stop trying to short this. You gotta stop trying to short this, right? They can bring it to 720 before they short it, right? They can bring it to 715. They can bring it. We do not know truly. So be very careful trying to short that, right? Underneath the previous close, breakdown retest. Obviously, you can take that low, 706, and like I said, anything below 705. My bull bias is kind of off the table for now, right? Not to say forever, but for now, right? We do got a bunch of gaps to close below. So we got this gap up here as well, overnight gap. I don't really use them as important as normal market hours gaps, but sometimes when we get levels that are tested in pre-market, I'd like to see them be tested in normal hours as well, right? So even we got the breakout today, right? We got the gap down. Everybody, all the bears was, oh wow, finally I told you so, we're going down. Yeah, right. Breakout, retest, boom. Right? You came back for the retest. First test is always the best test. I always say that. First test is the best test. We got the first test in normal market hours, right? In normal trading hours. We got that. Boom, pop, made our bread, walk away, 420. Go enjoy your day. You feel me? So, yeah, keep it super simple tomorrow. I do finally get off vacation. I go back home to Houston. Unfortunately, after we lost to the Lakers, man, it's irritating. I can't believe my first game at the Crypto.com arena was watching us lose. Not a fan of that. Not a fan. But it's fun experience overall. But anyway, let's get back to these charts. Let's take a look at VIX real quick. VIX, we did get a nice gap up, which is crazy to me because I thought like, and this is another reason why I was kind of super hesitant about trying to continue anything after that one move, because the VIX didn't really come down when we kind of had that pop. So that's another reason why I was kind of like, remember when I said anything kind of over 20 or in that range, the 19-20 range, you got to be a little careful, right? They could do some trick trap stuff around here. So especially with everyone being late to the bull rally, everybody's everybody's super bullish now. So, they can, they can cook both sides like they did today. If you messed around, you found out. So be careful of the VIX. Obviously, be mindful of that. Anything over 1920, be very, very careful about a pullback. The daily close on today, though, was absolutely flat, right? Absolutely flat. And it already looks like we're dang near already gapping over today's high. So, like I said, be careful of the daily. We still have that gap over here. Obviously, target all-time highs if it wants to keep going. And like I said, if it wants to keep doing, look, hold on, let's look over here real quick. Remember, what did I say? Anything in this channel, buy the dip. Do not short it if we are in this channel. I've been saying this since we got in it. We've been in this since March 27th, for real. But we really confirmed it after that pop. So anything after this, what did I say? You cannot short this inside of here. You cannot short this inside of here. You cannot short this inside of here. Right? The algos are winning. And I drew this. Look, perfect little bull flag, right? We consolidated all day. That's why I said consolidation leads to expansion. So if we do get this close and it continues to hold overnight, look for that huge pop, right? So keep it going. Hope you guys have a good 420, simple day. Let's see how this plays out, right? And keep banking, keep getting this money in, man. Just enjoying life. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Or actually, yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll probably live trade after I land back in Houston. We'll see how I feel. But